Hello, it's Tiana, and I'm talking to you today because I'm angry. Yes, I'm angry. Yesterday was International Women's Day, which, happy International Women's Day belatedly to all kinds and types of women. So, I'm angry partially because, oh my God, so many things have made me angry. And I have notes. I have notes here because I want to make sure that I don't spiral off into rant territory and not make the points that I want to make. And even so, I still might spiral off into rant territory and not make the points that I want to make. So, here we go. We're going to attempt to do this and hope that I say the things that I want to say, because I'm not a perfect person and I will never say that it is true that I know everything and I know exactly what I'm doing. I don't think anybody really knows what they're doing. I think all of us are out here experimenting, trying real hard, and trying to figure out the thing that works for us individually. And if we are liberatorily minded, we are also trying to find things that are going to help move us all forward toward that liberatory life and place where we can all have freedom, But basically, here's the thing. So International Women's Day happened yesterday in my world. And I just happened to be on social media, scrolling the Instagram feed, and I saw somebody post a video from Dove. And I was like, what's this? This is interesting. Let me see. So I watched this video from Dove. It was 1 minute and 6 seconds long, and it said a lot of things that were really like, yay, let's pump our fist for that, because these are things that need to be said at this level. Absolutely. However, the video actually just didn't. It's not delivering. Like this is a real example of kind of like virtue signaling, where I'm saying that I'm about these things. I'm going to use the words. I'm going to reference the right people. I'm going to take quotes from these leaders. But what's sorely lacking is action, real proof that these things are things that you carry with you throughout your life, and that you're actually using them not as a way to elevate yourself, but as a way to actually break down the internalized oppressions, systems of oppression that we all have. How do you become a better, more kind and caring human being? That's what the work is, right? When you're actively in that process, not just you said a thing and I can quote Audre Lorde, I can do that at you. No, not that, but actually the thing that Audre Lorde said changed how I thought about myself. It changed how I treated people. It changed things that I do. And that's the difference. It's a difference. It's a big difference, and sometimes it's hard to see it. But the fact is, when you are creating media, you can use this as a way to inform what you're bringing forward into the world, right? So basically, this Dove video is talking about what if beauty was not the focus? And then it proceeds to show me bunches and bunches of beautiful people. Bunches of beautiful people. They're like, let's do a digital, no digital retouching and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, yes, but every single person in this video has been made up, has been well lit. You didn't just find them off the street. Probably the majority of them are actors or people who are aspiring to be actors or models or something like that. You're not just bringing hey, you on the street, because they could do that were even like, hey, Lana from accounting, come over here and make this video with us. Like, they didn't do that. They went and did a casting call for something. And in some ways, I would love to see what that casting call would have been like, because it's like, hey, we need an old ugly lady with scars, and it's like, oh my god, like, I would love to see that, right? But anyway, the point is that, like, you know, even though Dove is out here saying the beautiful words and like, you know, attempting to bring us in that direction, like, number one, Dove is a fucking corporation. Corporations are never on our side. Corporations are on the side of who's gonna spend the money. And right now, Dove is like, I see a trend. It's a juicy, delicious trend waiting for money to be spent, because there's all these people out here in the world who are guilty, who are feeling guilty. And those dollars, those guilt dollars, flow fast, they flow hard, and they flow plentifully. So ultimately what it comes down to is Dove is trying to capitalize on something, because capitalism. So anyway, yeah. So basically, like, even though Dove is like trying to raise the profile of this thing, and a lot of people, because the person I follow, I try to only follow people that, like, are helping me in my liberatory process. This person that I was following, like, posted this video like it was a good thing, you know? And I'm like, this isn't a good thing. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. This is a place that you can start, and I think that that's great. Like, we have to have an entry point. Absolutely. So, like, hashtag break the bias. Like, yeah, let's do that. But also, like, let's do that, you know? So if you're going to tell me that, like, let's not focus on beauty anymore, and, like, let's try to challenge the like, you know, the toxicity and whatever about, like, how we have beauty as a standard and what that looks like, absolutely, let's do that. But you don't do that by showing me a bunch of beautiful people. Like, it doesn't work that way, you know? So I made a TikTok video, because I just joined TikTok, and I'm trying to, like, use TikTok, and I don't know how to use TikTok yet. So I tried to, like, you know, do a voiceover in my TikTok, and somehow that's not easy to do, I guess. I'm also I will be 42 soon. So the thing is that, like, in the end, I didn't do the TikTok correctly. And I was so proud of myself too. And I shared it around with my critique, and, like, my critique didn't actually come through, which I'm sad about. So it is what it is. But then, like, this morning, I'm in bed and I'm scrolling the Instagram again, because it's something that I do when I'm in bed. And I see a video about yoga, and there's text across the screen that says, yoga has no size. And I was like, okay, I believe you. I agree with you. Yoga has no size. However, the video then just continued to show me people in relatively small bodies, and, like, a lot of them just like the regular yoga people that we have always, you know, not always, but like, as yoga's been popularized, like, the bodies that we see who are doing yoga in these fantastic poses, you know, doing the acrobatics and stuff, like, this is what I'm seeing. And then it was like, oh, you know, we see a couple of people with different skin colors, and then we see, like, a couple of people who are a bit larger bodied. But it's just like, you know, if you're going to tell me one thing, you're going to say one thing, yoga does not have a size, and then commence to show me all of the people whose bodies that don't look like mine doing yoga, who have always been the kind of poster people for do yoga, because yoga has been billed as this thing that will take a body that looks like mine and turn it into a body that looks like theirs. Like, all you're doing is propagating. You're just continuing to proliferate that message and continuing to move that shit forward, and you're not actually hashtag breaking any bias. So like that's a problem, right? And then like I realized that like because I read something this morning that was also really like upsetting because it was such a fucking it was such a miss. It was such a miss. It was, you know, someone who was trying to say like they're doing the work, right? And they just like it just like slid out of their hands like freaking floppy fish every single time that they had the opportunity to like hold on to it and actually make it real. They were just like, whoops, fumble. So basically, I now want to talk about power and privilege, and like that's a really rough transition. But the fact of the matter is like at the base of everything that I'm saying right now, at the foundation, we are talking about power and privilege. So like I don't have complete thoughts about this because I am not a scholar. I don't like that's not what I do. I'm a body liberation coach and facilitator. Like I'm trying to help people find their ways over here toward what I'm trying to build in the world, you know, like what I'm the new world that I'm trying to build. And I'm like that's my work, right? So I dabble in these things and I don't know all the things and it is what it is. I don't think anybody does. But the fact is like things that we are told, right? People who have more power and more privilege are supposed to pass the mic. It's something that you do as a way to like acknowledge that you have power and privilege and use that power and privilege to like lift up people who do not have power and privilege. And I think that is really important because like you can't let go of your power and privilege. Like even if you're like, I was the CEO of the company and I'm no longer the CEO, like you've still got money, you've still got name recognition, you still have all of the, you know, visual things that have helped you get there. You still have all of your connection and your network. Like even if you've left the job, like you're just gonna fuck around and get into another job that's equally as powerful. Like maybe the name is different, but you're still gonna be powerful and privileged. Like it is what it is, you know? And so you cannot really give away these things because the system that has enabled you to have this power and privilege is still in place. And so what we need to do is not the individual person finds a way to give away power and privilege, is that you use that power and privilege to attack the system that has enabled that power and privilege to happen in the first place, right? And one of those things you can do is pass the mic. That's something that is helpful. So that means that when you are called to be the one leading the thing, you go, no, I'm sorry. I love that. Thank you for considering me. But guess what? I know these other people who are much better suited to lead the thing because they're bringing with it their identities, their positionality, their lived experience. And like, especially in a situation where folks are like shouting about diversity and inclusion and whatever the hell, equity, like, if all the faces that I see are white, like, you're missing the point. You're missing the point. Like, floppy fish, fumble. That's what's happening here. So like passing the mic can be really powerful. And that's also a tricky thing. And the reason this is a tricky thing is because passing the mic can turn into a paternalistic act, which means that you came to this, you passed that mic because you were like, I'm doing a good thing. I'm trying to decentralize myself and people like me and put the focus and center on people who have been historically marginalized and underrepresented. That's what I'm trying to do here. And that's great. That's what passing the mic is about. However, the problem then comes when people go, I did that. I did that. I passed the mic. Look at how I'm passing the mic. Look at the work that I'm doing. Look at it. And that's when it's the problem. When, for example, Dove turns it into a marketing platform. Dove makes a whole thing. It's like, we see issues in the world. We see problems with the way things are happening. We're going to tell you about how you can fix the problem. Join us to fix the problem. Because in Dove's campaign, like if you went to their Instagram post and actually watched the video on their page, their freaking campaign, like in their caption, they gave you 4 options, four things you could do to join them. But again, like the problem is there were 4 things that you could do. It was not 4 things that Dove is doing to break the bias. It was 4 things you can do to break the bias. So one of them was join their self-esteem challenge or whatever. Okay, whatever, fine. They have a challenge and an initiative. Fantastic. But what are they doing? What is that initiative? Like, how are they changing their cosmetics business and their like beauty products and their hiring practices and their internal culture, in addition to like you know, their environmental impacts? How are they working on this? How are they changing these things internally inside their organization with this like self-esteem challenge, like or like with any initiative that I have? And then the other 3 things were like, you stop using filters when you post on social media, and then you do this other thing, and then you go over here to these other people, because that's also virtuous signaling. Like, look, I know some people who are doing some social justice things. Look at, I'm so cool. But basically go to their social justice friends and sign the petition. And again, all of this is like, a lot of it is passing the mic, which, well, like the petition thing is passing the mic thing for sure. However, it's also like not enough because it's not telling me what Dove is doing. So again, like this is an immense power and privilege passing the mic in a paternalistic way, because they're not actually going to do anything. They're going to keep making, you know, soap bottles that aren't like environmentally friendly because they're full of like new plastic, and you know, they're gonna like pat themselves on the back because they made it curvier to be inclusive of people with larger bodies, and like that's all they're gonna do, right? That's all they're gonna do, and they're gonna make, you know, they're gonna make a new hairline that has like a cartoon character of a little black girl with big curly hair, and they're gonna say, look, we're more inclusive because we make product for people with kinky, coily, curly hair. And it's just like, anyway, yes, just frustrating. It's frustrating because it's not really doing much. So I am ranting. I'm definitely ranting here. So the fact is, like, you know, if you are passing the mic and then showing everybody how you're passing the mic, you're not actually doing anything really good here, because you're still centering yourself. You're still staying in the picture. And this is not to say that all the white people, all the powerful people need to give up their jobs and like disappear into the mist. That's not what I'm saying, because that's not realistic. Because in the end, what that is doing is it's upsetting and then resetting a system of supremacy. And I just have a huge nope for that, because it doesn't fix anything, right? Like, if you saw Marvel's Black Panther movie, they had an amazing villain in Killmonger. And Killmonger, Wakanda forever. Anyway, Killmonger was a fantastic villain because he wasn't like motivated by like, I mean, I don't know, he was self-motivated, but he wasn't like a lot of the other villains where it's like, I feel slighted, so I'm gonna change the world to suit me, and I'm gonna be a mean dude. No, I mean, Killmonger was slighted. He was fucked over. He watched his dad get killed by his uncle, and like, quote unquote, for the greater good, and then like saw how rich and like powerful Wakanda was, but then how Wakanda insulated themselves and did nothing for the black community the world round. And so Killmonger was like, hey, we have all this power and all this like technology. Let's go and liberate the black folks and then take over the world. And so like, I was so on board with Killmonger because it's like, yeah, let's go liberate the black folks. Absolutely. And then he was like, take over the world. And I was like, that's right. You're the villain. You're the villain here. I remember now. And that's the thing is like that was the failure of Killmonger, is he didn't understand, or he didn't want to understand, maybe, possibly that, or, because of his trauma and his experience, his lived experience, he didn't want to understand. Like he was choosing not to understand that by deposing the current system of white supremacy and creating a system of black supremacy, that he wasn't actually fixing anything except for the plight of the black man. And that's like, that's a great place to start in some ways, but also by upsetting and then, resetting a system of supremacy, like, somebody's still being subjugated, somebody's still being oppressed, and that is not the point. Like, let's not do that. Let's not do that. If we're going to work toward liberation, like, let's work toward liberation. Liberate us all. Let us all get free. Because in the end, we all need to work together to make that happen. Because there's so much shit out here to just get rid of. So in the end, like, we have to work together to liberate all of us. We need that 100%. So like, working toward liberating black people is not subjugating white people. That is not the correct way to do that. Because in the end, like, that doesn't work. So the point is, like, it's not a zero-sum game. It's like everybody gets to find a piece and a place for themselves, if we're doing it in a way that is actually liberatory and actually working toward that end. So like we're not trying to create supremacy. We're trying to get rid of, raise the ground of supremacy, blow it up, break it down, burn it to the ground, and just like start again where everybody is actually equitably considered and accommodated. Not equally, because equal doesn't matter. If everybody has the same, everybody's given the same, that doesn't account for people who like just inherently are starting from a different place because of whatever's going on with their bodies. And that stuff is real, and we have to take that into account. So we're not going for equality, we're going for equity, where everyone is given what they need. Everyone is being accommodated so everyone can function in this world and have like the richest and best lives that they can. So basically, like, I'm not off in the weeds. I'm making my point, but I think I'm off in the weeds from what I wanted to say. The thing is that, like, okay, if you're trying to work for that, if you're trying to work toward that, if that is the world that you want to build, then you can't just co-opt the words and like the phrases and the visuals and just say like, this is what I'm doing. You need to actually do it. You need to actually do it. You need to do it. You can't just say inclusivity and not show it in your actions. And I know a lot of people are defaulting to like, okay, well, because like, I'll speak from my experience as somebody in the online business world. In the online business world, a lot of people are going, okay, so if I'm going to be inclusive, because they used to serve only women. Like they had services that were like, you know, I help women who XYZ do ABC. This is generally what the formula of like definition of your online business is. And so a lot of those people who were like, I help women, they just kind of were like, ooh, I need to be inclusive, so I'm going to take women, and instead of saying MEN at the end, I'm going to have an X or a Y there, because I want to show that I mean like all types and kinds of women. And the fact is that this is a virtue signal because in the end, like, if a trans woman comes to you and wants to work with you, are you prepared for what comes with that trans woman? Like, are you prepared to be able to like deal with the holistic person there, the full humanity of a trans woman and her experience, you know, through being assigned a different gender at birth, being, you know, marginalized, being oppressed through the things that she had to do to go through her transition, through the things that she's still living through because she's not a fully acknowledged human being the worldwide. Like, are you willing to deal with that? You know, like, have you done the work? Have you prepared yourself to like understand and embrace that person's experience? So if you're just changing your E to an X, and you haven't done any learning or experience or research or relationship building behind that, then you're not safe, and you're just virtue signaling, and you're just part of the problem, and you're making it worse. Because also, here's the other thing. If all you're doing is putting an X there, you don't get it. You don't get it. Because people who identify as women but don't feel included in the WOMEN women do not now better feel included because you put an X there. They see that as the virtue signal it is, and they don't agree, and they don't feel safe there. So like, why is that? You know, have you ever asked yourself that question? And if you haven't, then you haven't done the work, and you maybe don't care to. And that's fine. If you don't care to do the work, that's perfectly fine. Be who you are, because that's also something that I believe in. I'm like, I want everyone to come along with me where I'm going. But the fact is, I understand that there are some people who don't have capacity, who don't have desire, who don't have the willing or the ability, like, you know, they just don't wanna. They're okay sitting in their pool of shit. They're fine with it. It's warm and it's comfortable and it's what they've known. And if that's who you are, that's who you are. That's perfectly fine. Just be honest about that. You know, just be honest about it. Like, if you don't want to do the work, then don't pretend to do the work. Just be honest about it, and then don't be mad when people like me don't fuck with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, just because you have made the decision to do nothing does not then entitle you to be upset at people who decide to do something and have left you behind. Like, you get to choose what you do. You get to choose that because you are in control of yourself. But don't be mad at other people who want to do something else. But if you're mad, then do something. Because maybe that anger is a signal to you that you want change to happen, that you are wanting change. You just got to work for it, bud, because nothing comes without work. It doesn't work that way. I mean, especially when we're talking about breaking down long-standing systems of oppression. No. Work must be done. And you doing a simple change in your copy is not going to work. You using like more inclusive looking stock photos on your site is not really doing the work. Like, showing me that, you know, people with darker skin wearing hijabs, you know, like are in your photos. Like, I mean, it does make me as a multiply marginalized person look at you and go, oh, maybe you know something. But then if I like read your copy, look at your business, check out your social medias, and I see things that are just like, yeah, this person is just performing, then I'm not interested. So if you want to be working with people who are multiply marginalized, if you want to be doing the work that's more liberatory, then you need to do more than just change a letter and use photos that are like more inclusive. You need to actually be doing the work to be more inclusive. And like, I just want to say, like, you know, I don't know how to do this perfectly. I can't say that I'm doing it perfectly. I know I'm not, but the fact is, like, you have to get out there and try, you know. It's complicated. All of this is really complicated, and nobody really knows how to do this right. But like, we all have to get out there and experiment, you know, and figure out how to make it work for us in our individual situations. You know, because in the end, your actions count so much more than your words and your photos. And I know that some people, like, because of disability, because of illness, because of situation in their lives, don't really have access to a lot of things more than just like using their words or putting up photos. And I think that that's fine, right? That's perfectly fine, because none of this looks one way. Like, doing the work doesn't only look one way. And I know I've cited a bunch of examples as I've, you know, ranted at you. But the fact is, like, those are just examples of ways you can do it. Like, if you're bedridden for whatever reason, or like you're stuck at home because you're taking care of, you know, your people, like, I understand that you can't go and be at the protest. But the fact is, like, you know, like, besides posting about your feelings on Facebook, like, what else are you doing there? Because, like, showing me on Facebook that you're angry about a thing is one thing. But again, it also looks like just words to me, because, like, I mean, you can still do things in your life, like, regardless of where you're at, because all of us can learn how to be a bit kinder and a bit gentler and a bit more, like, compassionate to people in our lives, right? People that we actually have the ability to contact and be in relationship with. So, like, I guess also in this moment, it's just like, yes, I want to see what you're doing. I want you to show your work. But the other thing too is that I realize that, like, I'm just some person on the internet, you know? I'm just another person on the internet. And if you're trying to perform for my checkmark for me to like, you know, give you some cookies, this is also part of, like, that paternalistic kind of thing, and like the performance of like, you know, the virtue signaling. Who gives a shit? Like, no one should really care. That's not true. Care maybe, but but it's just like, people on the internet are gonna have their opinions, and if you're doing the work because you're trying to change other people's opinions of you, like, you want people to recognize that you're doing the work, like, fuck that, like, fuck the performance, and ultimately we shouldn't be doing anything for performance sake. We should be doing things because they are genuine, because we actually care, because we really want to make a difference, and we're really trying to do something different here. So yeah, like, if you're spending your time telling people what you're doing versus actually just doing the thing, you're performing. And that's no good. Spend the time doing the thing. Who cares if nobody can see it who lives on the other side of the world? Like, the thing that you have the power, because we all have power, maybe the thing that you have the power to affect, the change that you can make, you know, the effort that you can make toward the hashtag break the bias situation is just dealing with the 4 people who live in your household. Then do that. That's your work. That's your corner of activism. Do it. Work on it. Make it happen. Because in the end, those people are going to go and have relationships with other people. They're going to go and have impacts and connections with others. And that is you causing a ripple effect, you know? And that's what we want, right? Like, I'm doing the work, not performing the work, not saying I'm doing the work, you know, but actually doing the work and having that affect someone positively so they can see, oh, that's an example of doing the work, or maybe I'm now changing my mind about something that I thought before. And they go forward and propagate that. And that's what we need. Each one teach one sort of situation, you know, without the paternalistic or the saviorism of it. But ultimately, like, if you're going to say a thing, try your best to do the thing, you know, like don't, I don't know. I'm exhausted. Either way, find it. Find your way to do the work and stop. Just stop it. Stop performing. This is some bullshit. Use your power for good. You can totally do it. And like, stop pointing your finger outward and start really working on what you yourself can do. Don't try to rope other people into your work. What is the work that you are doing? Are you good with your work to the point where other people can help you? Or are you just going like, look, I use the pretty words and now I'm gonna try to cancel people who don't. Like, fuck. We just stop it. Just stop it. If we're going to really break the bias, if we're really going to work toward liberation, if we're really going to like break down systems of oppression and abolish all this shit, then we got to actually do. So I hope that made any kind of type of sense, because it's exhausting, y'all. I'm exhausted out here. So anyway, I've been Tiana Dodson, and thanks for listening. Bye.